Hello, my name is Steve Rennie. I am the Ren Baron, and this is my Ren Baron Learning to Fly YouTube channel. And you know, over the years, I've flown in and out of Los Angeles International Airport so many times I've lost count. I think I've looked out that passenger window on what seems like a million takeoffs and landings on both sides of the airport. But I've never watched it through the pilot's window until today. On today's flight, we're going to fly an IFR approach in gentle IMC conditions from Santa Monica Airport to Los Angeles International. It's one of the shortest and one of the most fun and memorable flights I've posted to date. But before we get going, I want to warn you that I had some technical issues with the cockpit audio. It didn't work when I needed it most. So I've attempted to stitch together the audio as best I can by downloading the audio feeds from liveatc.net. And where appropriate, I'm going to try to fill in the blanks by voiceover. And because it was such a short flight, I've not made any attempt to edit down the time so that you can get the full feel of what it's like to fly into one of the busiest airports in the world. Come along for the ride.
Santa Monica Tower, Cirrus 728 Foxtrot Sierra, holding short runway 21 at Alpha 5, awaiting IFR release.
Cirrus 768 Foxtrot Sierra Tower, roger, standby. All right, Cirrus 8 Foxtrot Sierra, fly runway heading until advised, and expect to turn at the shoreline for now. Fly runway heading, please. Runway 21, clear for takeoff.
Fly runway heading and expected turn. 8 Foxtrot Sierra, thank you.
Okay, let's go flying to Los Angeles International Airport. First things first, let's use all that runway. Let's get that nose pointed on the center stripe. Smoothly add power. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep an eye on the instruments. Heels on the ground. Eyes down the runway. At 77 knots, we're going to gently pull back on that stick, and up we go. Flaps up, 90 knots, clear of obstructions. We're going to start looking for our CAPS available altitude of 770. While we wait, we're going to set our flight level change or indicated airspeed for 120 knots. At 600 feet, we've reached our CAPS available altitude. And you'll note here I'm engaging the autopilot a bit earlier on this flight than usual.
Cirrus 8 Foxtrot Sierra, turn right, suggest heading 250.
Right 250, 8 Foxtrot Sierra.
Normally I wouldn't engage the autopilot until I've reached my cruise altitude, but with so much going on in so short a time, today I'm going to let the Gen 6 do some work for me.
Cirrus 8 Foxtrot Sierra, thanks. Expect radar vectors from SoCal, so continue on that 250 heading. Contact them on 125.2.
125.2, thanks for your help, 8 Foxtrot Sierra.
Now, unfortunately, at this point, we're going to lose the cockpit audio for the next 3 to 4 minutes, so you'll have to use your imagination a bit. I'll try my best to fill you in best I can on what was going on and what I was being directed to do. Right here, I'm getting directed to make a turn to 270. And as we look out the front window, you get a great look at the marine layer that typically covers the whole Southern California coastline early in the morning. And even though it's not very thick, if you're not an IFR rated pilot, you'll be watching it from the ground. Now you'll notice right here that I've clicked the monitor button on COM2 to start listening to LAX weather. On a short flight like this, where so much is going on so fast, this is where it's hugely helpful having that autopilot to work with. And here's what the ATIS is telling me. We got winds at 110 at 7 knots, 6 miles of visibility, haze, few clouds at 900, 1600 broken, and 2600 overcast. So we're going to get some IMC conditions on the way in. And once I have that weather in hand, I'm going to turn off the monitoring and switch tower from standby into active on COM2 so I'm ready when I get to LAX. And of course, when I can, I'll go through my checklist, and when I'm done with that, I'm going to flip it back to the map. I check my instruments, make sure everything's good. I'm in heading mode, I'm in autopilot, my flight level change is set, and the yaw damper is engaged. Now at this point I get another turn, this time to 070. And as my little Cirrus banks into that turn, I get to see a view I just never get tired of seeing. My friends ask me all the time, why do you fly, Ren? I fly because the world just looks much more friendly up here, 5,000 feet above the chaos. And of course, when I get a free moment, I like to tidy up the cockpit a little bit and keep things tight. Now, I'm not going to lie, folks, I was a little nervous flying into Los Angeles International. If you've ever landed there, you know there's all kinds of taxiways. It's confusing as hell. And I wanted to make sure that when I did fly into LAX that I didn't look like some amateur kook. So I studied the approaches the night before. I listened to live ATC.net for 2 days, and I was convinced that I was coming in on runway 24 right. So of course I prepared for that, and we'll see how that works out here in a second. Now I'm at 5,000 feet, so I review my cruise checklist, make sure I've got everything done. And then I get a new instruction from ATC, this time a right turn to 090. And that 090 heading will more or less line me up both runways 24 and 25. When I envisioned my flight to LAX, to be perfectly honest, I kind of envisioned a little bit of IMC conditions, being able to fly through the clouds. And as you can see right here, everything is starting to look exactly like I planned it. All right, now to give us a little bit more room, ATC gives me a gentle turn to the left to 070, which puts us just about parallel now to both runway 24 and 25 at Los Angeles International. In addition to that heading change, I also get a frequency change to 124.3, and we're able to pick up some audio again to take us for the rest of the ride.
SoCal approach, Cirrus 768 Foxtrot Sierra, level 5,000.
Cirrus 768 Foxtrot Sierra, SoCal approach, expect ILS 25 left approach, Yankee Sierra.
ILS 25 left, Yankee I got, 8 Foxtrot Sierra.
One thing I've learned flying IFR flight plans is you got to be ready for changes whenever they come. So here I am loading the ILS 25 left approach instead of 24 right. Once I've loaded the approach, I'll select vectors as my transition. I'll enter the minimums, and then I'll load the approach. One of the first things I learned when I started to fly was the importance of keeping your eyes out of the airplane. When you're flying in IMC conditions, that won't help you much. You'll need to count on your instruments. And in that scenario, having that great moving map on the MFD provides a lot of comfort. Now, as I mentioned before, LAX is a big airport with lots of runways and lots of taxiways connecting everything. So being prepared before you land is a key item. I've had some problems with that in the past, so here I am making sure that I get it right when I get to LAX.
Foxtrot Sierra, descend and maintain 2,600.
Descend maintain 2,600, 8 Foxtrot Sierra.
Okay, so now we're going to start our descent. So I dial in the altitude select to 2,600. Pop in some vertical speed, and down we go. Now, I know lots of subscribers on my channel are in their IFR training or contemplating their IFR training, and that's great. But I'll tell you from my own experience, the first couple times you pass through those clouds, you're going to feel like in your pants. But once you get the hang of it, there's nothing better. When you can execute a successful IFR approach, you feel like a real pilot. This is going to be fun. One of the key items to a successful approach is knowing where you are and understanding what's coming next. At this point in the flight, I'm somewhere over Hollywood, parallel to our approach course, and I know I'm going to be getting a turn to intercept that approach course. And once I'm on that course, I want to make sure I'm at the proper altitude at the final approach fix. So you see me here checking that against the flight plan. The final approach fix for 25 left is Lima, and the altitude is 1900, and that's where I'll want to be when I get there. Now that I've got my approach briefed and we've started our descent, I'll go through my descent checklist. And because it's such a short flight, I'll also start on my before landing checklist as well.
2 Foxtrot Sierra, descend and maintain 2,400.
Descend, maintain 2,400, 8 Foxtrot Sierra.
Okay, so ATC is going to have us continue our descent to 2,400 feet, which is great. It's a little bit closer to that final approach fix. It means that I won't have to do a steep descent on the way into LAX like I have to do at Santa Monica on the RNAV 21 every day. So I'm happy about that. A little bit smoother ride on the way in, I hope.
Foxtrot Sierra, turn right heading 160.
Turn right heading 160. That's the call I was looking for. So now we're going to be headed toward our course, and this is a final chance to get everything together and make sure I'm properly prepped for my approach into Los Angeles International. Now, if you look off the nose, you'll see the cloud cover isn't very thick at all, which means we're not going to spend a lot of time in the clouds today. But it'll provide us just enough for that great Hollywood ending that I'm looking for. Now you'll see right here that I'm activating vectors to final, and you'll notice that CDI needle went from pink GPS to the Localizer, which is now in green. So I'm all ready to go for my approach into LAX.
Well, approach is 1295, the Hollywood 1, 210,
Record 1295, SoCal approach, cleared Alice 25 left approach.
so the ILS 25 left approach.
For those of you that are starting your IFR training, I know how overwhelming it can feel. But the truth of the matter is there's some real constants and common denominators in that procedure that you get used to and provides you a little bit of comfort. And one of them is the turn to join the course, which happens every time, the altitude restriction for you to maintain until you've intercepted that course, and then, of course, finally, the clearance to the particular approach that you've selected. Once you hear that, you know you're on your way. So that's what I'm listening for right now.
Sierra 4 from Lima, turn right 220, maintain 2,400 till established, cleared Alice 25 left.
Right 220, maintain 2,400 till established, 8 Foxtrot Sierra.
2 Fox Sierra, cleared Alice 25 left.
Cleared ILS 25 left.
And there it is. Our turn to course, our maintain till established, and cleared for the 25 left approach. So I dial in the heading. I'm already at 2,400, so nothing to do there. And then finally, I arm the approach to make sure I pick up the glide slope. And a quick look at the scorecard shows me that Localizer and glide slope are armed. Once that's done, I'm going to enter my final approach fix altitude of 1900. And once I've established on that course, I'm going to put in the vertical speed, push it down, and get to 1900. With nothing below me to see except clouds, I'm going to monitor the map and wait for the intercept. Well, you can see right here the needle is starting to move, so we're picking up the localizer and turning into the course now. Once that's happened, I can now start my descent to our final approach fix altitude of 1900 and let the Cirrus do its business.
November 8 Foxtrot Sierra, connect tower 120.95, good day.
You notice the audio drops out here, and you'll also notice that I'm fiddling around with the comm buttons because I had the wrong tower frequency set. I had it set for the north complex, not south, so I had to change that before making the call.
Los Angeles Tower, Cirrus 768 Foxtrot Sierra, inbound for the ILS 25 left with Yankee.
Cirrus 768 Foxtrot Sierra, Los Angeles Tower, wind 08010, runway 25 left.
25 left, clear land 8 Foxtrot Sierra.
And in the great Hollywood tradition, shortly after receiving my clearance, I entered the clouds for that grand finale, watching 25 left appear before my eyes. And there it is. I love showbiz. Nothing to do now except enjoy the view. Now, for all you folks with a keen eye, you'll notice that I'm carrying a lot more speed than normal at this point in the approach, but that's because I'm conscious of the fact that I'm flying around here with jets and I don't want to get too slow. And for any of you folks that thought I wasn't permanently scarred by my airport taxi diagram kerfuffle on my Bahamas adventure, here I am checking the taxi diagram again.
Tower number 721, Mike is just past gate, ILS 25 left.
721 Mike, Los Angeles Tower, wind 08009, runway 25 left, clear line.
Clear the line 25 left, 721 Mike.
Well, let's do a little sightseeing while we're on our final approach. That cool-looking building you see off the right nose is the brand new stadium for the Los Angeles Rams and the Los Angeles Chargers.
C323 Los Angeles Tower, runway 25 right line.
With the runway in sight, I'm going to go through my final landing checklist and add that last notch of flaps to slow me down for my final approach and landing. Well, folks, I bet you know what I'm thinking right now. Ren, please don't do something stupid. Don't embarrass yourself. Just put this baby on the center line and get out of Dodge. Okay, let me take this moment to thank all the subscribers that have supported my channel. If you like what you see, I hope you'll click that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And if you want advance notice, click that bell. My name is Steve Rennie. I am the Ren Baron, and this is my Ren Baron Learning to Fly YouTube channel. Okay, not perfect, a little off the center line, but probably not enough to get those guys in the tower turning to each other going, how did we let this freaking guy in here? All kidding aside, I was very happy with that approach. The only mistake I made is coming up, and you'll have to watch it on part 2, Santa Monica to Los Angeles, California. Thanks for watching. My name is Steve Rennie. I am the Ren Baron. Look forward to flying with you again soon.
I'm going to head over to Atlantic for a second. Foxtrot Sierra.
No problem. Just make a right turn on Alpha. November 8 Foxtrot Sierra. Make a right turn on Alpha. Taxi to Alpha 6.
Right turn on Alpha and taxi to Alpha 6, 8 Foxtrot Sierra.
Oh.